Hey everybody, this is going to be a tutorial on how to add a non-Unreal Engine skeleton enemy to the multiplayer zombie survival template. It's probably going to be a little bit long because we're going to go in depth. We're going to make it all from scratch. I'll teach you how to set it all up with animations, montages, attacks, everything. And this is for non-Unreal mannequin skeletons only, because if you're using an Unreal mannequin, then it's like 2 clicks and you're done. So you can watch my other video on how to do that. This one's going to be a little bit more in depth because we're going to use skeletons that are totally different. And for an example here, I've already set up some default, or I've set up some non-standard characters like this shark person here and some zombies from Mixamo, which is that free Adobe website where you can get free characters and free animations. So let me just hop in the game and I'll show you these working. As you can see, they act like zombies, but they're using their own animations and they chase after me. You can shoot them, they die. Alright, so let's get into it. So what you're going to need is your actual character. I just went ahead and made a new folder and called it Mixamo Zombie. We're going to do it from scratch again, so I'm just going to make a new folder. We'll call it Tutorial AI. So this is where we're going to start making our own new character. So what you want to do is you want to right click on base zombie and go to create child blueprint class. I'll call this Tutorial AI, and then I'm going to put him in this folder here. Move. So here's our tutorial AI. He's a child of the normal base zombie, so he can do everything other zombies can do. But we want to use a different character model than this one. So what we're going to do is I'm going to close all this stuff down so I can show you what we got to do here. So let's see. That's base zombie. What we can do is we'll just go ahead and where our tutorial AI is, we're going to right click, go to animation and make a new animation blueprint, and then you have to pick your skeleton for whatever you're using. So if you're using a were shark or whatever your custom skeleton is, I'm going to do the Mixamo one and create that. I'll call it the tutorial BP. So this is going to be our animation blueprint. You open it up and you'll see your character here is on the little preview window, and we have what's called an animation graph and an event graph. What we want to do is let's get the event graph working first. So I'm just going to right click, type in event, and then scroll up to the top, and there's an event called event blueprint initialize event blueprint initialize animation. And what we want to do here is we're going to drag off of the get pawn owner. Actually, let's go to base zombie. We're going to just make it a little easier. We'll click on the mesh of our base zombie and look at his blueprint animation blueprint. So under anim class, you can click this little folder to browse to it and open up his zombie anim BP. And we can easily look at his event graph and copy and paste what we need. So in his event graph, we're going to copy this cast is valid to these 3 nodes right here, cast to base zombie. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste these in, and then on the connect them to this initialize animation, and then plug in the pawn owner, try to get pawn owner into the base zombie. And then we're going to right click this set zombie character reference and create a new variable, compile and save. So that will give us a reference to our blueprint. And then let's look at the other one and see what we did here. So basically we need this stuff here. So everything from the missing legs to the right over. So I'm just going to copy these, paste them into the tutorial, and then connect this thing up, And these are for use for checking if their legs and stuff are missing. So I'm going to create this variable by right-clicking, create this variable by right-clicking, and then we need to connect the try get_owner into the get movement component here and into the get velocity there. And then right-click for the is in air, right-click for the speed. You'll always need speed. If you don't have any jump animations, you don't have to do this part for this, but might as well put it in because I'm assuming most people are going to have jump animations and stuff for zombies. Alright, so now we have the code part set up. Now we have to go into the animation graph and actually set up the animations. So if you look at my zombie animation blueprint, the one that comes with the template, his anim BP, we can just copy and paste his into this new Mixamo one that we're doing here. Connect it up, and of course we're going to have to change some things. So the first thing is this layered blend per bone. It'll look like this. We'll have to drop down the layer setup, and I think you have to click all these drop downs like this until you get to the bone name, and we have to change this from a spine 02 to whatever our new skeleton is. So let's look at his skeleton asset. So here's our character. He's not rigged. He's rigged to his own. He's rigged, but he's rigged to his own skeleton, the Mixamo skeleton. And we need a bone that we can use to blend. So how about spine? Anything above the spine bone can play animations such as attack animations. So we're going to copy this bone name of spine, and then we're going to go back into our tutorial, and on this layer blend per bone, we're going to paste that into the bone name. That way he can run and attack at the same time. Now we need to open up the state machine right here. We'll double click it, and we'll start with the idle and run here. Open it up, and this you can see we have to use blend spaces, and since we don't use the existing other blend spaces, we got to get rid of these. So let's go ahead and make some blend spaces. We'll go to AI Zombie. Where did I have that? Tutorial AI. We right click, we go to animation, blend space 1D. 1D is one dimensional, so that's what we're going to use for zombies. A normal blend space is multi-direction, but that's more for like players, because zombies ain't going to be moving in different directions. They're going to go forward and stop, and that's about it. So let's pick our Mixamo zombie skeleton here, and I'll call this tutorial walk blend space. Open it up. So here he is. Now we need idle animation on the left. So which one's idle? We'll drag our idle animation at 0. We'll drag our run animation on this side, and we'll drag our walk animation somewhere in here in the middle. Then we come over here on the axis settings under horizontal. We'll name this to speed with a max value of 400. And then we're going to change the grid to say 12 so we can get more space here. And this depends on your animations on the actual speeds here. You want to line these up so the movement speed matches the animation speed. It's kind of trial and error. I'm going to go with running at about 366 there, and then the walking 136, something like that. And then if you hold left control here, you can see how it looks. It blends between idle to walking to running. Now these animations, they're from Mixamo, so they're not even from the same pack. I think this is a drunk run animation, a drunk walk, and a something else, some kind of idle. So nothing fancy, but they get the job done. So now that we have that set up, there's some other blend settings in here that you can change if you need to. But I think I might do it. Maybe the weight speed, maybe 5. Alright, let's go back into the tutorial here and the tutorial animation blueprint that we're working on, and we're going to use our new tutorial walk blend space. We'll drag it in, connect in speed, and delete these two that are giving errors. Right on my default one, I had it, if one leg is missing, he uses a jumping animation blueprint where he jumps on one leg. Most people are probably going to want crawling, so I'm just we'll do one leg missing false, then we're going to walk, and if true, then I have a crawl animation in here. We could just plug that in for the true. And let me show you the crawl one. This is the way it looks like. It's from Mixamo. It's just a crawling animation. Okay, so now we got that. Now let's see. Same with the crawl. You can open this up and you can add your own blend space if you have multiple kinds of crawl animations, but I only have this one, so I'm just going to use the actual animation. Compile, save, and then I don't have any jump animations, so I'm just going to get rid of these, but if you did have them, you would have to go in here and just switch out the animations. But I don't have any jump animations or falling animations. So now we have our zombie, and he should be able to do what zombie does, which is just chase after players. His animations are set up, so now we can go back into our tutorial AI. We'll change him from the mannequin to our new mesh. Then we'll set his anim class to his tutorial animation blueprint that we just made. Compile, save, and then let's see. I'm going to go ahead and drag one into the level. Get rid of these others that I was testing. Tutorial AI. There he is. Okay. He's not going to be fully set up, but we'll see if he can move. Okay, so there's our tutorial AI. He's walking, which is good. But as you can see, he has no attacks. So that's the next thing we're going to set up is attacks. So we need to go into his wherever your animations are. So mine were in the animations. Find your attack animation and right click it and go to create anim montage, and you create it. To give it a name, I'm going to call it tutorial attack montage. Open it up, and here's our attack. And what we need to do first is I'm going to make sure this slot here, right now it's set to default. You want to change the slot to upper body. Actually, I think I just clicked the wrong thing. It's different based on if you're using Unreal 4 or Unreal 5. There we go. You go to slot name, upper body, and then you have to click this little green thing and drag and let go of it, and then it updates the window here. So now we have it set to the upper body animation, which means he can run with his legs but attack with his upper body if he's moving, because you don't want a zombie to have to stop to hit. I don't know. So that'll work. I'm going to pause it real quick so he'll stop that. And let's go to notify down here. You want to right click, go to add notify state, and do a zombie attack notify. And you see it gives you this little 1 and 2. This is the window that the zombie can actually apply damage. So I'm going to go frame by frame until I find where he starts and make that the starting point for his attack, and then go until about right there and then drag as the ending point. So from here to here where he's actually swinging is where he can actually deal damage. Okay, so now that we have that, we can save it, and we'll go to our tutorial AI, and if you click on the tutorial or the topmost node. It says self. And then come to details and type in attack. We have all of our attack information here. You can change the attack sound here if you don't like the sound, or you can modify the cue, whatever you want to do. It's set right there. You can also add the sounds into the actual animation montages if you want. That's up to you. Also, we need to change this attack animation array here. So if you have 5 different attack animations, you could just keep clicking this add button here, and you can have randomized attacks. It'll pick one of these out of this array and attack, and then it'll pick another random one and attack, so it'll pick randomly which one to use. For the tutorial here, we're just going to be using this one because I don't want to have to set up 5 different attacks. That would make the video even longer than it's going to be. So we have one attack here. It's called, what did we name this? Tutorial attack montage, the one we just made. I'm going to set that. We also have the crawler. There's a variable here called a crawler attack, which is what he does if he's crawling, what his attack is going to be. I didn't really have an animation for it, so I just took the crawl animation and deleted some frames and just called this the crawler attack animation. You do it the same way. You set the attack notify down here, and then you go back into here and you just set that to the Mixamo crawl attack montage. So you could set your attack montage if he's crawling, and then there's a crouch animation that I added, which is if the player is like laying down or crouched, and the zombie will play a different animation. I mean, I could show you the one I did for the tutorial. People kept bugging me saying, if you crouch, the zombies can't hurt you, because my little default animations weren't that great. So I made this animation where he bends over and attacks the player. Same way, like I said as before, you add the attack notifier, but that's you can set that in there as well. I'm just going to use the same attack animation that we just made as the crouch animation. Paste that in, the crouch attack animation. And now the most important part is where you want the zombie to be able to attack with. So I'm assuming most people are going to do his hands, but you have to set the bone. So you click on your character here and you can go to his skeleton, which I'm going to browse here, and you open up his skeleton, and then you just look at his bones here and find where you want his attacks to be. So if you want his hands, then you find ours is called, and this skeleton is called right hand, and I'm assuming left hand. Yeah, right hand, left hand. So then you come back into your tutorial, or your character that you're working on, go back to the top self node, type in attack, and then down here at the bottom, the attack bone names, you can add as many as you want, but you have to make sure they're named right here. So instead of hand left, this will be left hand. Did I type that right? Left hand. There we go. And then same, we need right hand. And if your attack maybe was like, maybe you wanted him to bite people, or your attack is he bites at people, you can go ahead and find the bone that's close to his mouth as well, which would be what? His head bone, or somewhere in here. We'll just go with his head top end copy bone name, and we'll just use that one. And then you just click the add element and paste that in there, compile, save. So now he should be able to attack you and damage you. Let's see if that works. Come here, zombie. He's smacking me, he's hurting me. Alright. Now we have to set up another thing, which is his the actual, I call it gibbing, or dismemberment, I guess. So where you can actually shoot his head off and things like that. So if you open up your character's physics asset, it'll look something like this. When I took the one from Mixamo, it looked something like this, which didn't look right. Which means this right here, this giant sphere, is called spine 2. And what that was doing was, no matter where I shot, I could shoot him anywhere in the head, and it said, oh, you're hitting him in spine 2. Because I guess the Mixamo character was a little wonky. So what I did, I went to tools and I changed the minimum bone size down to 10 and then hit regenerate bodies, and well, it didn't work that time. I think you have to click off of that and then generate. There we go. So then it gave me more options and bones here. And you can come in here and you can scale them around if you want, so it matches your model a little better, because this is how your character's physics and everything are gonna react. So when you're shooting bullets, it has to hit this. When he ragdolls and falls on the ground. So if you're having trouble with your character, looks like he's going crazy and stretching all over the place when he's ragdolling, it's your physics body. You have to come in here and tweak and fix it. And there's tons of videos on YouTube on more detail on how you can fix this up and make it better and look better physics wise, but you have to make sure you have a way to like see his head here and shoot him right in his head. Alright, so now that we have that done, you go back into your tutorial AI here, and there's a little settings, a little gear icon. You can click that and click show inherited variables. So once you check that to true, then you can see all of the variables from the base zombie. Let me scroll this up a little bit so you can see. There's some bones in here. Let's scroll down. They're all pinkish purple colored, pink colored variables. So like the head bone, we can change the default value. Instead of neck 01, we'll go to our character here and find something. His is just called neck. So then you just copy this name and go back to tutorial AI and paste it in there for his head bone. So that means if you shoot anywhere from his neck up, which is his head, that's a headshot, and it will do headshot damage, headshot points, and if you did enough damage, blow his head off. And then you'll have to change the head bone effects, which is where the blood comes out. So when you shoot a zombie's head off, you're going to want blood to, of course, spew out of his neck. So we're going to have to make a socket instead of this one. We'll go make one where you could just right click on neck and then just add a socket, and then it'll generate one for you. Just like I just right clicked it and it made one called neck socket. So then you just come back to here and you change this to neck socket. And you can adjust this wherever you want it to be. Like, it doesn't have to be right there. You can move it around or wherever you want it to be. So that's where the blood will play. That's just for effects. And you could do the same for all the others. So you have like left arm bone, right arm bone, left leg bone, right leg bone, left arm effects, right arm bone effects, left leg effects, right leg effects. That's just the bone names and the bone sockets to play the effects on for blood and stuff. And that will give you the ability to shoot his head off. Let's hop in and see one more time. There we go. So I shot his head off, and it's playing the blood on his neck like it's supposed to. And the ragdoll looks pretty good. Looks very nice. And one other thing that we need to cover is the crawling zombies. So when zombie gets his legs blown off and starts crawling, you'll want to be able to adjust his speed. If you look inside the base zombie here, there's actually a function called check if has legs. And what we can do is we can copy this and then go into our new zombie we're working on. And over here in functions, there's an override button. If you click override and then click on check if has legs, it will override our original one. Then we're going to just delete the parent here and then paste in our logic from the base zombie. and then you can adjust it for this specific zombie. So for example, this one checks, is he missing his left or his right leg? If so, then it does a check to see if one leg's missing or both legs is missing. In our case, we want to just use both leg is missing, and because the way I had it set up before was by if he's missing one leg, he hops on one leg just for funny, just for looks. But we're just going to do the classic way. If you lose one leg or both legs, doesn't matter, you're automatically going to become a crawler. And then this is where you set the movement speed for the zombie. So if he's crawling, of course he's going to be slower, so I set his movement speed to 75. And then we compile that and save it, and when you go into the game, I have it set where his leg's about to blow off by itself. So his leg should come off, and there you go, he's slow. Alright, and the other thing is you have to make those the blood effects and everything, if you want those to be correct. I talked about it a second ago with the sockets, but basically you just click on self up here in the details panel, type in bone, and you have all of the effects bones. So if you shoot his right leg off, you have to find the right leg bone effects, and this has to be the socket, the correct socket. So if we go look at his skeleton, I'll show you real quick. It has to be a socket. So like this is the right leg socket. The right leg bone, which is actually part of the skeleton, is what gets when you shoot, it gets hidden. And so if you're using a bone, it's not going to show the blood in the right spot. You have to actually create a socket by right clicking and add a socket, and then name it whatever you want. I just left it right leg socket, and it creates it right there, which is generally in the right spot, but if you need to move it around, you can. So for example, that was his right leg that we just shot off, I believe. And if you want to, it's in the right spot right now, but if you want to see, if I move it way over here, compile and save, and then go to hit play, and then his leg gets blowed off, you can see the effect is playing where that socket is, which is way out to the side. So you can adjust that easily. And I'm just going to put it back to where it was. And that's how you adjust the speed of the zombie. It's just overriding this function for checking if he has legs and setting his movement speed. Alright, and then let's go through one more thing. If you open up the base zombie blueprint here, there's also a function in here called check for gibbing. If you open that up, you get this big graph here. There's two different ways. The default way is down here. There's another way up here that people had requested, so I built it too. I think it just, like it said, you could read it, dismembers no matter what, and you can add in your bones somewhere in here. Where's the bones at? Gib bones. Yeah. So you can use that if you want, but I'm going to use the default way. Basically, I think I set it up with some variables like such as the head bone. Like, did you shoot the head bone? If so, blow his head off. But down here, I had set it up where if you shot his hand or his lower arm or his upper arm for his left, these are all the bones inside the default character's left arm. And then it checks those and it says, is it already shot off? If not, then it blows his left arm off, which is set here. And that was the variable that we were changing over here, which was like left arm bone. But the problem is, I don't have these plugged up yet. I may do it in a future update just to make things easier for you guys. But what you would want to do is probably either make these into new variables, or make these into new variables that you can also change. So for example, I could promote this to a variable and call it left hand bone, and then compile, save, and then do the same for this one. This would be promote to local, promote to variable. We'll call it left lower arm bone. And then the last one is the upper arm. So we do promote to variable left upper arm bone. And then you would take those and plug the same ones into here. So you'd have left hand bone goes into this one, left lower goes into this one, and left upper goes into this one. And that way you can easily adjust these non-UE4 skeletons. You would do that for the right arm, the left leg, the right leg. And like I said, I might put this in an update just because it would make it easier. I never thought about it until now. So once you have those, then you could go back into your AI that we were working on like this, and then you can change the left hand bone to your left hand. So instead of being hand underscore left, it would actually be the what would it be called? Left hand? Yeah, left hand. So on this character's is just called left hand. So you'd copy it and go back to yours, and for the left hand bone, instead of being hand underscore L, it would be left hand. And then the lower arm bone, it would be called, close that one. The lower arm bone would be left forearm. We'd paste that into here. And then the upper, instead of upper arm left, it's called left arm. So you copy that and then change that, paste, compile, save, and that's how it is. You're just editing these default values inside of your own new skeleton character here. And apologize for not having that plugged in by default, but I'm surprised no one's ever really told me about it until now. But now we know. I'll probably add that in. So that you can change those, it's just variables, and then that will give you dismemberment. I'm trying to think if there's anything else for AI enemies that I'm missing out. He can attack, he can move, he can be dismembered. When you want to go change the spawners over here, so you would click on the spawner, and it says type of enemy to spawn, and you would just change it. I think by default it's set to base zombie. You would set it to your tutorial AI, and there, he's set to spawn there. And you can have multiple different spawn zones, just in case you didn't know. So like I can have another one that spawns right here, and instead of spawning those, we're gonna spawn those shark AI that I had earlier. And you can set the zone names, but by default start zone is the one they all start at. Hit play, and we should have our zombies here, and then they'll start spawning in. So I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I think that's everything. I just wanted to show you how the spawners work. You can have different ones. I just got 8 alive. Alright, so I believe that's all for that. That should get you through how to set up the animation blueprints and the blend spaces and the new zombie and all of his attacks. So thanks for watching. I hope I helped and explained it all. If not, feel free to join the Discord and ask me whatever you're struggling with, and thanks. See you around.